Oh, welcome once again. Do welcome once again on Humanist TV Africa. This is HTV, Humanist TV Africa. My name is Kato Mukasa. I'm a Ugandan lawyer interested in human rights issues. Of course, this show is managed by Dennis Bongole, who is based in Uganda. And of course, we have a team across Africa. We have studios in Nigeria. That is the Tarokuman. The Tarokuman, my namesake, Andrew Paul Bongfanandip. And of course, we have a studio in Nigeria. We have a studio in Kenya. We have a studio in Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Ghana. Today, we are going to have panelists from different African countries. But of course, we're going to be talking about democracy. Today, the Tarako man made me to talk about democracy. And because he's the bearer of democracy and he has a version of democracy the African way, we are going to have the Tarako man talk about democracy. And he tells us why African democracy is better than Western democracy. Because me, I promote Western democracy. I say I think we need this kind of democracy, to be able to survive and with equality, equity, and all that. And Nandip says, no, you are wrong, Kato. You are wrong. This democracy is bad, it's flawed. So today, we are going to be discussing democracy, but of course, we're going to be talking about politics, economics, and religion in Africa, but we're going to center on democracy. We shall look at Sierra Leone briefly, but of course, we shall have a full show on Sierra Leone tomorrow, where we shall basically look at what's happening in Sierra Leone. But today, we shall briefly talk about Sierra Leone, especially when our man from Sierra Leone comes on set. But for now, I want to welcome my comrade brother, Nandip Bongfa, the Tarokuman from Nigeria, to talk about democracy. What is wrong with democracy? Nandip, what is wrong with democracy today?
Thank you, Katu, for this good topic that you brought in about democracy. My name is Nandip Andrew Bongfa, and my kind of slavery name that they gave to me called Paul, of which I've discarded the name 12 years ago. I am an agri expert, a former ex-banker, a humanist, a board of trustee of the Humanist Association of Nigeria, and also a board of trustee of 80 Society of Nigeria. So all these two societies are into comatose. So democracy, the definition of democracy according to the what do you call it? The educational aspect of it is the government of the people, by the people, and of the people. So, to my own definition of the democracy, what they call democracy is government for the elite, by the rich, and for the corrupt people. So, as last week, we have been arguing and discussing about democracy in this great platform, that is Humanist TV Africa. I'm broadcasting here from Nigeria live in Abuja. of which I told my panelists that democracy is not meant for the African people. It's meant for the Europeans. And if you check very, very well, the Asians, they don't practice much of the democracy. Yes. Have you ever seen people maybe from China practicing democracy? I believe it's no. Saudi Arabia. The answer is also no. But you understand? So our democracy in Africa, cannot even call it democracy, is the way we govern or rule our people. Before the colonizer came to Africa many years ago, of which we have our form of ruling, and then things are kind of perfect, things goes well, we don't have problems. And with that kind of a way of ruling, there's a problem too. That's what is called corruption, of which we also discussed about corruption last week. Because in that aspect of rules, of which the king or the chief or the village head will become the authoritarians of the people in that community. You would like to dictate to the villagers what's supposed to be done, of which he cannot give everyone a fair hearing or a fair kind of way of thinking. So, although it's much better than this recent democracy that we are practicing here in Nigeria, I don't know about Uganda, I don't know about Ghana, I don't know about Kenya, Zambia, South Africa, and most other African countries. I'm talking best in Nigeria because I've experienced this democracy for more than 24 years, of which we practice it continuously. This democracy that we're practicing in Nigeria is completely corrupt because the few elected or selected, because there's difference between elected and selected. The people that we, the local masses, elected, that's not what they will give to us. The elite, the bourgeoisie, they are the one that will choose their own cabals in their own, camp, and then decided to rule us. In Nigeria now, you will see that trillions of naira is budgeted for just buying what? Vehicle for the elite. When the masses ask them, why are you buying this vehicle? One vehicle costs about 300 million naira, and we have about more than 500 of them. Calculate it.
One vehicle costs 300 million naira.
Yes, and we have more than 500. Yeah.
Is it a vehicle taking people to heaven?
I don't. I don't know. That's why I talked about the corruption in democracy, because you will not even understand the aspect or the way I'm coming from, because I've seen it all. Just one House of Rep or Senator have a vehicle that costs 300 million naira, and the budget is about trillions of naira. If you convert it into dollars, you will know how much it is that. This money now, it can build a lot of hospital, it can build a lot of school, it can build good road across the geographical entity of called Nigeria. Yes, it can do that. But because people are just so kind of selfish, they are there for themselves, their family, their cronies, and their cabals within themselves. They don't care about we, the masses. They are only for themselves. That's why I said democracy doesn't even good for the African people. Yes, in those days that when our ancestors, they are practicing the traditional way of governance, that is ruling of our people, although there is some corruption going on, of which those foreigners that usually came, that's why I always argue with you that they are the one that introduced all those things to our people. Remember, I told you that they bring salt, they will bring sugar, they will bring a gun, sorry, and they will come to this the traditional rulers and present all these things to them. And then I don't know how they communicate anyway, because our people, they don't speak English, and the English people, they don't speak our local dialect. But you will discover that they will take our herbal youth into and give it to these European people into slavery. Yes, because one or two people cannot talk. If you talk, you will be flogged, put into the ant gun so that the ant will be biting you, or hang and put fire under you. But still, in this present age and enlightenment, that is even more better, because there's a lot of people that will come out and talk and fight against it, like the way we are fighting against religion now. So in this democracy now, if you talk too much, you'll be put into jail. My comrade Mubarak Bala is in jail now for more than 3 years because he says things that the government of the democracy that we are even practicing, they are not happy with it, and his parents. So you can see why we don't need democracy. Number one, democracy is full of corruption.
Continue. The man from Sierra Leone has come, but continue and conclude. You have so far used 10 minutes, sir. You have used 10 minutes, around. Sir.
I can see him. He's looking at me too. So democracy is full of corruption. I don't know about Ghana or Sierra Leone and Uganda and other that. In Nigeria, democracy is full of corruption. It's full of hate. It's full of what? Dictatorship. Now, there's what they call the godfatherism in democracy. The governor or the president leave the seat of power. He must make sure that he puts someone that he can be able to come in and protect the corruption, the money is steal, and a lot of things that he did. The next person that comes, he can be able to protect him. That's not all supposed to be. This is bad for Africans. And there's no progress in this entity or in this thing that we call democracy. As you can see, the way the post that you posted in the humanist media, Socrates talked about democracy that give liberty to everyone. At the long run, what is going to be the result? The result of what is chaos. The result is chaos, and the result is bad. We have been practicing democracy for 24 years here in Nigeria. We have never seen democracy that is good. It's getting worse and worse every year. Now, the poor people, they are being taken away by the kidnappers. The poor people, they cannot be able to have access to their farms, because when you go to their farm, some people will come and carry you and they will demand for money, of which your poor family, they don't have that money to give them. What you have to do, they have to kill you.
Thank you so much. I have to stop you there. Stop you there, sir. The Tarokman must be stopped. The Tarokman must be stopped now. The Tarokman has had a good run of 12 minutes of talking. And I've picked points. I have picked points from you. Ms. Brice says that democracy is now courtocracy, the government of the court, by the court, and for the court, not of the people. Yes. In the words of Obasi Ichokuchu, ride on with a short team. Thank you so much, Ms. Brice. Ms. Brice is our panelist here.
Yes,
thank you so much,
Ms. Brice. Thank you.
Yes, she has actually defined it in a very good way. She said that democracy is now courtocracy, from the word court.
Thank
Now, I think as a lawyer, I understand this one in a different language. It's now courtocracy. Every time we are going to court, for us lawyers, we love courts. We go to courts of law. Now, democracy has become a courtocracy. Now, having heard from you, I'm going to make 3 deductions from your submission. Number one, you are saying that Western democracy is alien to Africa and is bad. And we are saying that Western democracy has promoted corruption in Africa.
That's right.
And we are saying that, in democracy in Nigeria, the so-called elections are selections. Elections are selections. And conversely put, whatever you have said is applicable to Uganda. I always say that Uganda is a failed state under a dictatorship of a man called Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and his family of thieves. So when you have thieves, a family of thieves and a clan of thieves, you have a democracy which is Musevenized in Uganda. You have a democracy which is Musevenized in Uganda. I don't know about Sierra Leone. I don't know much about Nigeria, but I talk about Uganda, where we have a democracy which I define as demonicracy. I define my democracy in Uganda as demon. You know, demon, a devil,
yes.
Demonicracy.
Yes.
That's how I define. That's how I define my democracy. Because it's a demonicracy.
Yes.
In Uganda, we have no democracy in the real sense. In Uganda, I used to go on television. I'm all over televisions. When you check archives of Uganda, you see me on their televisions. And I can tell you, you have the freedom to speak, but you have no freedom after speaking. You can speak in Uganda, but when you criticize the president, you have no freedom after speaking. Now, that is the democracy, which I call demonocracy. Demonocracy. I don't call it democracy. I call it democracy, which is sponsored by Western governments. Western governments come every time we are having public or general elections, and Western governments always say, oh, this was the most credible election.
Kato.
Yes.
The same thing here in Nigeria. Anytime we are having democracy, the Western government will come that they are from United Nations to observe our democracy. Please continue.
Yes. And they will say, this has been the most democratic election in Uganda. President Museveni has won, free and fair. That is the Western governments praising our president in Uganda, who has been there for the last 37 years. We tell them, look, the man is stealing elections, the man is killing his opponents, the man is imprisoning his opponents. We say, no, democracy, democracy. Every after 5 years, you are electing your president. One man has been ruling us for how many years? 37 years. What are the Western powers say? The Western powers say, oh, the man is right, the man is democratic, the man is elected. Yet, the man actually is rigging elections. In Uganda, we don't have elections, we have selections. So, for the first time in the history, on this topic, I'm agreeing with you. Though,
yes.
not fully. I think I'm agreeing with you about 60%, which is fair enough.
Yes,
Because
even if
democracy,
50% is fair.
yeah, because democracy in Uganda, as defined by these Western governments, is a fraud. Fraud, FRU, fraud is a fraud. It's a sham. There is no democracy in Uganda. It's democracy on paper. Now, having said that, the government of the people, by the people, and for the people is a sham. I don't know about Sierra Leone, But I know about Uganda, and I tell you, in Uganda, we have sham democracy, which I call democracy. I call it democracy. How about Sierra Leone, my brother? I know we have videos which Dennis is going to play for us, maybe one or two, and then I'll ask my brother in Sierra Leone to come and tell us what version of democracy do you have, where we see dead bodies on the streets, where we see coups coming up. What democracy do we have? Sierra Leone, Mambo, go ahead and explain the democracy you have in Sierra Leone as Dennis organizes the videos. Over to you, Sierra Leone.
All right. Thank you very much, Comrade Kato. Like we are, I mean, we are all saying, in Africa we don't have democracy. We have evilcracy and also democracy. Let me add the evilcracy there, because where our government is killing the citizens who elect this government into power, and then you turn again to kill those who elected you into this power, is called evilcracy. So like Sierra Leone, even if I don't say it, it's all over the world. You can see it on the internet. You can just Google right now. If you Google Freetown, you'll see what is happening there. There is a killing, and also as I'm speaking now, there is a lot of adoption. Being that if you have been pointed at, there is no court, you just be killed. Case studies, on Sunday there was an attack in Freetown on the Ammo barracks called Wilberforce, and one of the strategic points of the military base where they store all the ammos. It was attacked, and a lot of ammunitions were stolen, and those who were responsible started doing what they planned to do. And one of the outcome was a prison break. The main correctional center in Freetown was break, which about 1,890,000 inmates were released, and up till now they are roaming about in Freetown. So I could say Sierra Leone presently is a dead zone, because we are about 1,890,000 inmates are out. You could imagine what will be the outcome of that. But I will not blame them. It is because of our bad governance. Because our present president was selected. So because of that, the people are grieved. So you cannot imagine the outcome. And we are also expecting a lot of things will also come out as a follow-up after this, because being that a lot of ammunitions have been carried, have been stolen, and they have not seen those who took them. I know there is going to be a comeback. We are not praying for that, but actually I'm expecting a comeback, because if they try to execute something and then it doesn't work at that moment, I know they are going to rehog and then come in full force, being that a target have also been hit, that the main correctional center have been hit, and all prisoners have been released, about 1,890. Can you imagine? So I know that was a target, and the targets have been hit already. So I'm just hoping for my fellow citizens in those who are based in my country. I'm wishing them well, especially in the city, because the evilcracy have actually caused a lot of harm on us. And that is even the reason why some of us are not even in the country presently, because of the evilcracy. I can name a lot of reasons why that attack was done. One of the reason is to free political prisoners. There are a lot of political prisoners. That was one of the motives of the attack, in my own opinion, which I know is true. And also the political marginalization of opposition members is too much. And also cost of living. Cost of living is another. Election malpractice is another. Abduction of opposition members. You know, so all these are factors for such an for such an incident. It is very pathetic. Seeing people being killed on the streets of Freetown, seeing people being pointed at. This, like, let me just set an example. If I'm in Freetown now and I have an issue with my neighbor will just go to the military and say that Emmanuel is part of them. Emmanuel was part of them. So even if, without any question, I'll be just arrested, and then before I could even explain anything, maybe I'll be dead, or maybe a lot of things will have happened to me. So this is what is happening now. So everybody is afraid, and there is a curfew. Now, at first the curfew was the whole day, but for now it has been adjusted from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning, and it is indefinite. So now you cannot you cannot go out of your house after 9. By 8:30 you should be in your home. And who knows? Now is a time that opposition party leaders should be very careful. Those who are activists in the country, journalists should be very careful, because this is the time at 9 they know now you'll be in your home after 9, and you'll be just handled. You'll be just pointed at, and anything can come up. And today I see I see a list of wanted people, about 50 wanted. I think, which I will share the pictures tomorrow on our TV, and you will see a lot of young officers are pointed out, and these are the opposition members. They are all opposition members, so you can see that this is not about genuine stuff. You can see that they are actually witch hunting the opposition leaders or the opposition members, those who are active, those who want to see the so-called democracy in Africa being maintained in a proper way. These are people that they are pointing at. These are people that they are trying to silence, and they will silence you. Now if you are being arrested, you will not be taken to the main correctional center anymore. Only the government know where they will take you, and maybe you will never be seen. So it's I can say it's a witch hunt. It's a war. It's a genocide. I can name it anyhow. That my country is not safe by the so-called selection of government officials. Our president was elected. Everyone knows. Even the EU report was saying that our election was not genuine. It was not proper. But even when the EU said it, still the man was, take himself as a president and being backed by some of his military personnel, and opposition are being marginalized. People are being killed. A lot of blood in the city. You can see people lying down on the street of Freetown dead. This is very pathetic. It makes me sad every day. It makes me feel the pain seeing somebody lie in the pool of blood in the street. It's a tragic situation presently in my country, I can say.
Thank you so much. That was a good run. Thank you so much. Dennis, no need of showing those photos today, no need of running those videos today, because tomorrow we're going to have a full show on Sierra Leone. We shall have just a full show on Sierra Leone alone. Now, having said that, Mambo, a Sierra Leone comrade, has told us what is obtaining in Sierra Leone. I should tell you, Nande, I was following the End SARS campaign in Nigeria, and I can tell you, I remember at least 100 people, if I remember very well, were killed during the End SARS riots, or were killed by the SARS people. Now, having said that, we are going to be the one to speak again. Let me just make this summation of what Mambo said. Now, Mambo says that in Sierra Leone, they just had this man voted into power. And this is the kind of democracy the West has told us to follow. That You get a president, you get a candidate, and you vote him into power. You vote her into power, and then you give them a term into office. And the policy is that the winner takes it all. The winner takes it all. What does it mean? In Uganda, where you have a thief called Museveni, a thief, I call him a thief, because he has been stealing votes. He has been stealing votes since 2001. I began voting in 1996. Why don't I say he stole that vote? Because he did not steal that vote. Because in 1996, Museveni won clean. And I never voted for him. And it was my first time to vote. I was a DP member, a Democratic member. And Museveni has been NRM, the National Resistance Movement. I have never voted for the NRM. I've been always in opposition. But in 1996, I was only 18 years. And that was my first time to vote. And still, I never voted for Museveni. Remember, Museveni came to power in 86. So after 10 years of deceiving Ugandans that was going to put the country back on the main road, he organizes an election, which to me was free and fair. And I went to vote against him, even when I was only 18 years. Why? Because my conscience was telling me that this man told us in 1986 that he never wanted to be a president, that he only wanted to give us a good example of good leaders. But in giving us a good example of good leaders, he ruled Uganda for 10 years without a single election. For 10 years. From 1986 to 96, there was no presidential election. Never. Now, when it came to 96, I said, okay, this man has been ruling for 10 years. And he said he doesn't want power. Why is he contesting again? I was young, but my head was working. I went and I voted him out. But the man had popularity. The man was being loved. After 10 years, the man won us. He won me in 96, free and fair. Where did the problem come from? The problem came in 2001. Now the man wants to become the emperor of Uganda. How? He has ruled for 15 years now, 2001. And now people are saying, you better stop here. And he tells them, why term limits? Why do you put term limits on someone? If someone is good, remove the term limits. So the election of 2001 was squarely rigged by dictator Museveni. And I religiously went to vote against him. I still voted against him. But the man rigged the election, which was participated by his own colonel, the colonel he had fought with in the Bush War. The colonel was also a military man, contested against him. That colonel is called Kizza Besigye. And for the first time, I voted Kizza Besigye. And we gave Kizza Besigye so many votes that Museveni had to rig the election. You can imagine a candidate, Kizza Besigye, colonel, had to be in prison during campaign time. Now imagine going to a boxing ring. We are going to box Nandip, and your hands are tied. We're in a boxing ring. Your hands are tied, and I'm free to punch you. I'm free to punch you, but your hands are tied. And someone says, why don't you box? Nandip, why don't you box? But your hands are tied because the man was in prison. Yeah, the man was in prison. His hands are tied. But everybody says, why don't you box? Why don't you box? So Museveni became a thief. This I've put in my book, Stolen Legitimacy. Museveni became a thief of votes. The year is 2001. And from that year, come 2001, 2006, he becomes a thief even after 5 years. The man has been stealing votes. including the last vote in 2021. For 36 years, one president has ruled Uganda. One president has ruled Uganda. Nandip, I'm all now gray. This man came to power when I was a little boy like this. Now you can say, I'm finished. But people don't want me to challenge this man. They still say, oh, the man is still good. The man came when I was a little boy like this. The man has ruled me for how many years? 36 years. Now the man is ruling me and my children, but also wants to rule my grandchildren. Now, they call it democracy. I say it is democracy. That's not democracy. We cannot have one man to be so good that there's no other person who can manage. That we are 45 million people, all of us are so stupid, all of us are so weak. There's only one man that God gave us. Those Christians say God. I don't believe in God, remember? But they say God gave us this what? A man who has stolen all our resources. We have minerals, we have oil, we have copper, we have gold, we have those minerals, we have coffee, we have cotton, we have good soils, we have bananas, we have all the fruits you can think about. The man has mortgaged our country. Our country is owned by Chinese as I speak. As I speak, Uganda is owned by Chinese investors, the so-called investors. They have bought our land. Our people are being chased away from their land. My law firm was in 2 cases where army generals are chasing people from their land. I'm a lawyer. My law firm, where I used to work, was handling cases to defend people being chased from their own land by so-called foreign investors. Investors from where? From America, from Europe, from China. They come to Uganda, buy land, and they chase indigenous people from their lands. They come from where? From Europe, from America, from China. And they come to my country, they buy our land from government officials who are corrupt, and government officials chase innocent Nandipu, innocent Mambu, innocent Kato from their land. I was born on that land, and someone comes Nandipu and tells you, go away. Why? Because there is oil beneath. Because the land I sit on has oil. Now they must chase me away. And they give me peanuts. My law firm was in court to defend those people, and those cases caused us problem. At least caused my law firm problem. As I speak today, my law firm is closed. But we want cases against the government. I'm on TV here. You get it? Government officials stealing people's land in Kalangala, stealing people's land in Chankwanzi. Those are areas in Uganda. I have evidence. I know which government general, which army general stole land from who. Army generals stealing land from poor Ugandans, and Museveni and his thieves look the other side. And the so-called investors from Europe, from America, from Asia, take over our own land. And they chase my people from their land. As a lawyer, I looked on helplessly. Now, that is democracy for you. They say if they come and buy land, now they have bought. But why do you buy land from a poor people without adequately compensating them? You buy land from an army general. An army general who claims to own 10 villages. Now, if you know a village, why should one man own 10 villages? Where did he come out with that land? Who was born with a piece of land? And why did this man own it before 1986? Why do they own this land now? Before 1986, they never owned this land. All of a sudden, because they're in power, now they own the land. Now, this democracy is flawed. This democracy is diseased. Now, when you talk about it, they say we are against the government. They say we are the enemies of progress. They say we have been compromised because we work for NGOs, we work for law firms, which have been compromised. They fight you, they want to kill you, they want to arrest you. That is the problem of democracy in Uganda. And vis-a-vis Africa, Nandip, you have seen it. Mambu was almost killed. His house was burnt. That one there you see from Sierra Leone. Why? Democracy. Because democracy tells me I must speak out. But what happens after exercising my democracy? I have witch hunted. So I have to conclude this by saying I've heard all of you, and it pains me that the version of democracy we have in Africa is in fact autocracy, is in fact quotocracy. I think Obasi and Miss Brice have called it quotocracy, which is a good term. Why quotocracy? Because every time people want to practice democracy, they get lawyers like me to defend them. I can tell you, if you're a corrupt lawyer, you can get rich in 1 month. I have colleagues I went with in law school. They have square miles of land. Colleagues I went with in law school who are on the side of the government, they have acres and acres of land. They drive the latest cars in Uganda. The best I could drive was a second-hand car, me. Because there is no way I can side with people to chase people from their land. But if you're a lawyer who want money in Uganda, like in Sierra Leone or in Nigeria, you can become rich in 1 year. I have lawyers I can mention here in Uganda. I went to law school with. Today, they are the chairpersons of the Land Commission. I went to school with those guys. Chairperson of Land Commission, chairperson of Kampala Land Commission. I went to school with some of these guys. But today, the type of vehicles they are driving, SL, new model, ask them, how much do you earn a month? Corruption. Corruption, because it is easier to get money from an American investor. He gives you, say, $500,000 to chase away about 10,000 people from their land. So one lawyer goes to court, creates documents, and corrupts the entire system, including the land registry. And someone all of a sudden tomorrow comes with a title deed and says, this is the land title. I own that land. I bought it from XYZ. And who owns it? An army general, a soldier. So I tell you that lawyers I went to school with, some of them, not all of them, some of them are damn rich. Why? Because they sided with those with money. Now, for me, they will call me a stupid lawyer. They will call me a fed lawyer because I drive a second-hand car. Because I can't afford a new car. You get it? Because there's no way I want to get easy money. Because easy money means you are going to hurt people. You are going to hurt people. You are going to chase people from their land. Now, in conclusion, this type of democracy to me doesn't work for me. Doesn't work for me. Use the courts to muzzle people. Journalists are arrested. Authors are arrested. Demonstrators are shot. I've told you that on November 19th and 18th November of 2021, over 100 Ugandans were killed on the streets of Kampala. Cold blood murder by a police car UP017 and other cars. But at least in my book, I document one car, one police car, UP017, 016, with armed men shooting live and killing innocent women and men and students on the streets of Kampala. And then after November, January, we have a general presidential election, and these Western governments say this has been the most credible election Uganda has ever had. When people have been shot dead, when 1,000 people are in prison, captives. They call it where you go and get people and witch hunt them, get them from their own homes. They call it disappearing people, where you disappear people. Abductions, as Sierra was putting it. Abductions. For us, we call it disappearing. And if they come in your house, you get disappeared for years. There are guys I can mention on TV, Chibalamandi, others, so many people have been disappeared for years. We don't know where they are. And people shout and tell us that Uganda is a democracy. Come on. How do you define a democracy when a presidential candidate, Chagulani, had to get a body armor to be in campaign? Wherever he got it, whether it was US, a body armor, because they were shooting at him, shooting at a presidential candidate to kill him. So whoever gave him a body armor, he got a body armor, including an armored vehicle to campaign. Because it's a war. It's a war to campaign. So, in brief, to me, I get hurt by this kind of topics of democracy because totally there is no democracy in many African countries. And I will qualify that in many. I'm not saying all, but in many African countries, there's no democracy. The only country or two or three I can say they are democratic, maybe is Tanzania, maybe it's Botswana, maybe is Botswana, maybe Malawi, maybe. But many other countries in Africa, I don't call them democratic. Botswana, I can say yes. Tanzania, I can say yes. Rwanda is the dictatorship. Uganda is worse. Nigeria is a facade. Nigeria is sham. Sierra Leone people are dying on the streets. In brief, my brother, there's no democracy. I want to take it back to Nandip. Nandip, get again your 5 minutes. Use them. After that, Sierra Leone, another 5 minutes, and then we close it. Nandip.
Comrade Kato.
Yeah.
You see, democracy in Nigeria, I can tell you that it's cancerous. You see, something that is called cancer is beyond treatment. You cannot treat it. Cancerous. That's why we don't need it here. That's why things in Nigeria, they are getting eyewear. Nothing is working now. As I'm telling you, people are suffering as democracy as it is in Nigeria, but people are suffering. It's hardly for a family to feed 2 times in a day. Because like if you have, for example, you have like 3, 4 children, how are you going to feed them? A mudu or a kg of rice now is beyond, is more than $1. Yes. So, and how will you get that amount? There's no concrete work to be done. Only few people. The people that work, they don't even get paid. So democracy is in Nigeria is something that is not even only those in the government. They are the ones that have what is called money to buy food. That's what the government says subsidy. Now, and it's only few people that have that subsidy or palliative. We call it palliative. That is food that they share to people that they don't have enough money. And in Abuja here, no one has gotten that palliative. But still, people are suffering. What do we need democracy for? Like in the village that I'm staying now, we have our village head, the village chief, and they are supposed to be what? A security guard, that is vigilantes and local hunters to protect us. We don't need any goddamn police. We don't need any military. The military, they have to stay in the border to protect the country territory, not in the city. They are supposed to be hunters and vigilantes to take care of any criminals that comes in to steal and to destroy. But you can see that a senator, a House of Rep member, you have like 5 to 6 policemen guiding them. But in a village that I'm staying here now, we don't have a single policeman, a whole village, but a single politician have enough a security agent to guide him. Is that a democracy? That's not democracy. It's just a kind of a what do you call it? It's something for the few elected people that can be able to protect themselves. But the majority of the people should go to hell. That doesn't bother them. And they have the money. And the poor people like us here, we don't have anything. And we are the honest people. Them there in the National Assembly, in the presidential villa, they are the most corrupt people whatsoever. If you come to most of those villages that they are around us, you can see that there's a lot of Chinese company mining, excavating, taking our mineral resources without any tax, without any paper. You will see that the Chinese people from Asia being shipped into Nigeria in a container without the immigration, knowing that people are coming in. They will put oxygen in them inside the container, and then they'll ship them illegally. And the immigration, they don't even know about it. Is that democracy? This is not democracy. This is worse. This is cancerous. We don't need this kind of government. We are not happy, especially in Nigeria. And the way Mabus talked about what happened in his own country is a shame. It's a shame that last week people are being gunned down, people are being killed, and people are in hiding. And the way you Comrade Kato, you give an example that some few years ago, people are being shot, civilians, women, men being killed because of one man that ruled Uganda for 30-something years. If it is Nigeria, people will the country will have to be separated, divided. How can single man rule a country for 30-something years? We have been in consistent democracy now for 24 years, but we have democracy, that is, we have elections, we have selection, of which is not our own. It's not our own vote. The people in government, they are the one that they will pick and put. At least there's changes. Not the way you painted Comrade Kato, that a single man had something years, and you are a youth at that time, and being someone like me now, and that man is still ruling. What are you guys doing now? Start to do something. Put something.
That's why we are speaking. That's why we are speaking.
Traditional people now, traditionally can walk, so that this old man can go, the youth can come.
Thank you so much. Your time is over. Now, Serion, Mambo, you have 5 cool minutes to talk about democracy and wind up.
I think we should not name it. I think researchers, Kato, like you write a book, you are an author. We need to research and give it another name. In Africa, it's not democracy. Maybe in America, and you can call it democracy. But for Africa, we should give it another official name. It should not be called democracy, because
I agree with you.
First of all, we are not voting for our leaders. Our leaders are being selected. So that is one component that is even missing in the word democracy. We no more vote. Even if you vote or you don't vote, you will still have somebody who have been selected. So the word democracy, we are just misusing it in Africa because it is not working. And again, being that you are a government, if one thing I studied about this whole stuff is that their children, their immediate family, they will never be affected on all these things going on. Like the president, his children will not go to school in his country. upon all their educational stuff they are bragging about. Maybe when they go to the UN, they will say, oh, our education is this, our health system is this. But if the children of the president or any minister is being sick or anything, I mean, they will be taken abroad for treatment. So how would you,
Nigeria.
how will you, yes, how would you, I mean, grade your health system in your own country if your children have malaria and then you take them to England for treatment? And then you are being voted by these people who are suffering in the country. You cannot improve the health system. You cannot improve the educational system. You are just being surrounded by your fellow thieves. You call them ministers. So the word democracy is actually being misused in Africa. We don't have democracy. So we should find another name for it and another definition. And like my country, Sierra Leone, is an example to this. I will not even tell anybody that I have democracy in my country. I think the only change there is that maybe after 10 years we'll see another face being selected. Maybe after 10 years we'll see another face being selected. And now it's like a tradition. After every 5 years, thousands and thousands of people will lose their life in this thing called election. Thousands and thousands of citizens will lose their life in the so-called election. So why would there be a lot of killing, and then after the whole process, then you say the election was credible? What is credible about it? What was the free and fair about it? So you even forget about those who were killed. It is only in Africa when you protest, you will be killed. You will be seen as a terrorist. You will be seen as an enemy because you protest, because you went on the street to protest about the cost of living. So even if the cost of living is going up, you should not say anything. You should just sit down. Even if hunger is, you have been killed by hunger, family members should not say anything. This is Africa. This is our so-called democracy in Africa. If the government is doing anything wrong, you should not say it. You should not go to the radio. You should not go to the TV. You should not say anything. And this is why a lot of us are out of the country. Because if you say what is right, you'll be seen as an enemy of the state. Because they will say, there is freedom of speech, there is freedom of this. So the only freedom of speech is when you talk good things about the evil government in power. That's your freedom of speech. But if you say anything wrong, it means enemy of speech. That's not the freedom. You should not have.
I'm going to stop you there, and Mambo, I'm going to stop you there. We have had a good run. Of course, we agree with you. Mambo. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, my brother Nandip. Nandip, let me read for you this quotation from Socrates, and then we close with this. This is what I shared on our WhatsApp group from Socrates. Socrates' prediction of the fall of democracy. This is what Socrates said, one of the best brains in the world, a Greek philosopher, said this.
Philosopher, yes.
Democracy must fall because it will try to tailor to everyone. The poor will want the wealth of the rich, and democracy will give it to them. Young people will want to be respected by the elderly and as the elderly, and democracy will give it to them. Women will want to be like men, and democracy will give it to them. Foreigners will want the rights of the natives, and democracy will give it to them. Thieves, fraudsters like M7 will want important government functions, and democracy will give it to them. And at that time, when thieves like M7, like Buhari, like that one of Sierra Leone, when those thieves and the fraudsters finally democratically take authority, because criminals and evil doers want power, there will be worse dictatorships than in the time of any monarchy or oligarchy. That is Socrates, the thinker, talking about democracy.
I agree with that completely, Kadu.
So I agree with Socrates.
Yes.
Women want to become men. Young people want to be respected like elders. Thieves and fraudsters are the one in leadership.
They are the one. Yeah.
If you want a case study of a thief in power, Museveni is there to show you a case study of a thief, a killer, a dictator, a fraudster, everything bad. You can see it in one man called Museveni in Uganda. Now, if you look at that as a case study for 37 years, Nandip, I should tell you, 37 years the man has been ruling us. Sierra Leone, we have, our time is over. Nandip, can you say bye-bye in a way you want it in 1 minute, and then Sierra Leone will also say the same thing in 1 minute?
Yes. Comrade, thank you so much for these talks that you brought, politics, economic, and religion in Africa. This is a very important topic that we should be discussing more and more, so that people will be enlightened and should find solution in it. So, as you bring out the issue from Uganda, and Mabu bring that from Sierra Leone, and I bring my own issue from Nigeria about democracy, what is the solution? This is my question that I will have to leave it from here now.
In the next discussion, we shall talk about the solution. Today, we diagnose the problem. In the next discussion, we are going to talk about what is the solution for the blend of democracy in Africa. Nandip, Mambo, your final word on this.
My final word is we should try to find another name for the so-called democracy in Africa, because we are not practicing democracy. There is no angle in our system that will call that even portray the real democracy. So we don't have democracy, and I think that is what I could say, that Africa needs to try and research and give it another name. And the killing won't stop today. The abduction will stop today, unless as citizens we actually need to mobilize ourselves, try to change the whole system. The whole system needs to change, because it is selection, it is the abduction is too much, the killing is too much, and we are tired of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Nandip. Our next show is going to be what should be the solution for the brand of democracy that Africa has. What should be the solution? Let us come with a solution in the next show. Thank you, Dennis, for all the bylines I see. Thank you for the good time. Thank you, the panelists and the gang, Nandip Bongfa and Emmanuel Mambo from Sierra Leone and Ghana, and of course, Nigeria. Here is Kato from Uganda. Thank you so much for the show. See you in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.